This is Charlene Burke with Grow Because You Know. That's www.growbecauseyouknow.com. Welcome to Morning Mindset Cafe, where we read a few pages of Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill, and then have a rousing discussion about what we've read. Today we are starting chapter 12. I'll be reading pages 203 to 208, which is about half of the chapter, titled The Subconscious Mind. Let's get started, shall we? Chapter 12, The Subconscious Mind, The Connecting Link, the 11th Step Toward Riches. The subconscious mind consists of a field of consciousness in which every impulse of thought that reaches the objective mind through any of the five senses is classified and recorded, and from which thoughts may be recalled or withdrawn as letters may be taken from a filing cabinet. It receives and files sense impressions or thoughts, regardless of their nature. You may voluntarily plant in your subconscious mind any plan, thought, or purpose which you desire to translate into its physical or monetary equivalent. The subconscious acts first on the dominating desires which have been mixed with emotional feeling, such as faith. Consider this in connection with the instructions given in the chapter on desire for taking the 6 steps there outlined and the instructions given in the chapter on the building and execution of plans, and you will understand the importance of the thought conveyed. The subconscious mind works day and night. Through a method of procedure unknown to man, the subconscious mind draws upon the forces of infinite intelligence for the power with which it voluntarily transmutes one's desires into their physical equivalent, making use always of the most practical media by which this end may be accomplished. You cannot entirely control your subconscious mind, but you can voluntarily hand over to it any plan, desire, or purpose which you wish transformed into concrete form. Read again instructions for using the subconscious mind in the chapter on autosuggestion. There's plenty of evidence to support the belief that the subconscious mind is the connecting link between the finite mind of man and infinite intelligence. It is the intermediary through which one may draw upon the forces of infinite intelligence at will. It alone contains the secret process by which mental impulses are modified and changed into their spiritual equivalent. It alone is the medium through which prayer may be transmitted to the source capable of answering prayer. The possibilities of creative effort connected with the subconscious mind are stupendous and imponderable. They inspire one with awe. I never approach the discussion of the subconscious mind without a feeling of littleness and inferiority, due perhaps to the fact that man's entire stock of knowledge on this subject is so pitifully limited. The very fact that the subconscious mind is the medium of communication between the thinking mind of man and infinite intelligence is of itself a thought which almost paralyzes one's reason. After you have accepted as a reality the existence of the subconscious mind and understand its possibilities as a medium for transmuting your desires into their physical or monetary equivalent, you will comprehend the full significance of the instructions given in the chapter on desire. You will also understand why you have been repeatedly admonished to make your desires clear and to reduce them to writing. You will also understand the necessity of persistence in carrying out instructions. The 13 principles are the stimuli with which you acquire the ability to reach and to influence your subconscious mind. Do not become discouraged if you cannot do this upon the first attempt. Remember that the subconscious mind may be voluntarily directed only through habit, under the directions given in the chapter on faith. You have not yet had time to master faith. Be patient. Be persistent. A good many statements in the chapters on faith and autosuggestion will be repeated here for the benefit of your subconscious mind. Remember, your subconscious mind functions voluntarily. Remember, your subconscious mind functions voluntarily whether you make any effort to influence it or not. This naturally suggests to you that thoughts of fear and poverty and all negative thoughts serve as stimuli to your subconscious mind, unless you master these impulses and give it more desirable food upon which it may feed. The subconscious mind will not remain idle. If you fail to plant desires in your subconscious mind, it will feed upon the thoughts which reach it as the result of your neglect. We have already explained that thought impulses, both negative and positive, are reaching the subconscious mind continuously from the four sources which were mentioned in the chapter on sex transmutation. For the present, it is sufficient if you remember that you are living daily in the midst of all manner of thought impulses which are reaching your subconscious mind without your knowledge. Some of these impulses are negative, some are positive. You are now engaged in trying to help shut out the flow of negative impulses and to aid in voluntarily influencing your subconscious mind through positive impulses of desire. When you achieve this, you will possess the key which unlocks the door to your subconscious mind. Moreover, you will control that door so completely that no undesirable thought may influence your subconscious mind. Everything which man creates begins in the form of a thought impulse. Man can create nothing which he does not first conceive in thought. Through the aid of the imagination, thought impulses may be assembled into plans. The imagination, when under control, may be used for the creation of plans or purposes that lead to success in one's chosen occupation. All thought impulses intended for transmutation into their physical equivalent, voluntarily planted in the subconscious mind, must pass through the imagination and be mixed with faith. The mixing of faith with a plan or purpose intended for submission to the subconscious mind may be done only through the imagination. From these statements, you will readily observe that voluntary use of the subconscious mind calls for coordination and application of all the principles. Ella Wheeler Wilcox gave evidence of her understanding of the power of the subconscious mind when she wrote, "You never can tell what a thought will do in bringing you hate or love, for thoughts are things and their airy wings are swifter than carrier doves. They follow the law of the universe. Each thing creates its kind, and they speed o'er the tracks to bring you back whatever went out from your mind." Mrs. Wilcox understood the truth that thoughts which go out from one's mind also embed themselves deeply in one's subconscious mind, where they serve as a magnet, pattern, or blueprint by which the subconscious mind is influenced while translating them into their physical equivalent. Thoughts are truly things for the reason that every material thing begins in the form of thought energy. The subconscious mind is more susceptible to influence by impulses of thought mixed with feeling or emotion than by those originating solely in the reasoning portion of the mind. In fact, there is much evidence to support the theory that only emotionalized thoughts have any action influence upon the subconscious mind. It is a well-known fact that emotion or feeling rules the majority of people. If it is true that the subconscious mind responds more quickly to and is influenced more readily by thought impulses which are well mixed with emotion, it is essential to become familiar with the more important of the emotions. There are 7 major positive emotions and 7 major negative emotions. The negatives voluntarily inject themselves into the thought impulses, which ensure passage into the subconscious mind. The positives must be injected through the principle of autosuggestion into the thought impulses which an individual wishes to pass on to his subconscious mind. Instructions have been given in the chapter on autosuggestion. These emotions, or feeling impulses, may be likened to yeast in a loaf of bread because they constitute the action element, which transforms thought impulses from the passive to the active state. Thus may one understand why thought impulses which have been well mixed with emotion are acted upon more readily than thought impulses originating in cold reason. You are preparing yourself to influence and control the inner audience of your subconscious mind in order to hand over to it the desire for money which you wish transmuted into its monetary equivalent. It is essential, therefore, that you understand the method of approach to this inner audience. You must speak its language, or it will not heed your call. It understands best the language of emotion or feeling. Let us therefore describe here the 7 major positive emotions and the 7 major negative emotions, so that you may draw upon the positives and avoid the negatives when giving instructions to your subconscious mind. The 7 major positive emotions: the emotion of desire, the emotion of faith, the emotion of love, the emotion of sex, the emotion of enthusiasm, the emotion of romance, the emotion of hope. There are other positive emotions, but these are the 7 most powerful and the ones that most commonly used in creative effort. Master these 7 emotions. They can be mastered only by use, and the other positive emotions will be at your command when you need them. Remember in this connection that you are studying a book which is intended to help you develop a money consciousness by filling your mind with positive emotion. One does not become money conscious by filling one's mind with negative emotions. The 7 major negative emotions to be avoided: the emotion of fear, the emotion of jealousy, the emotion of hatred, the emotion of revenge, the emotion of greed, the emotion of superstition, the emotion of anger. Positive and negative emotions cannot occupy the mind at the same time. One or the other must dominate it. It is your responsibility to make sure that positive emotions constitute the dominating influence of your mind. Here the law of habit will come to your aid. From the habit, form the habit of applying and using the positive emotions. Eventually, they will dominate your mind so completely that the negatives cannot enter it. Only by following these instructions literally and continuously can you gain control over your subconscious mind. The presence of a single negative in your conscious mind is sufficient to destroy all chances of constructive aid from your subconscious mind. Okay, I'm done. Wow. I know that was a lot of pages, but I think you see why. I think you see why. Halfway through chapter 12, and holy macaroni, we just got instructions on how to do this, right? I find that exciting. Seats are open for anybody who wants to discuss what was read. Welcome, everybody. Paul? Yes, we're reading from a book, Think and Grow Rich. Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. There's a PDF read-along available. Let's see here. Simply go to that PDF and you can get up to speed pretty quickly and reference it for discussion as we're discussing. Evangelos, good to see you here. Glad you made it. Jonathan, welcome. Yeah, rewiring that subconsciousness is it's great stuff, but I got to tell you what I love about this is there it is. There are the instructions. Jeremy, good to see you this morning. Welcome. JJ, nice to have you here. Hello, Aman. Omar, good morning. So, I know it's heavy stuff, and yet it's clearly laid out that I have control over what I feed my mind. And I have control over what's going to really have an impact. So something as simple as not watching the news where every headline is that which bleeds leads. Mm-hmm. When was the last time we actually sat down and watched television from, first thing in the morning until the evening? It's been a long, long, long time for me. So that's one of the things that I've done is to remove that because I don't want that entering my subconscious. But I think the other thing that I really like is that he is telling us to be on the watch for those negatives and what to replace them with, and that we can replace them. Good morning, Ha.
Good morning, Charlene, Michelle, and happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary to you.
Yeah. Oh, I love this chapter because subconsciousness is the place that I think that the breeding ground for make you become more who you are. Therefore, you must cultivate the positive thinking because I cannot tell you how often that is the subconscious mind. That is something that my father have instilled in me, and from time to time that I just pull it out and get to live my life according to my father's words. And it pretty much because of my father, and that I am become who I am, and I continue to cultivate that.
And you do it on purpose. I think that's the key, isn't it? Is that we make a conscious effort to do something different.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have, is it okay that I call you JJ? Or do you want me to call you Dr. J? No, Dr. J isn't going to quite fit the minute I said that. JJ, excellent. JJ's asking, do we have any pattern interrupters that we use? Meaning if we catch ourselves slipping negative, something that will stop it. Mine is quite simply, when I begin with the conscious decision that I will think differently or I will
Hi,
respond
Christy.
differently. Oh, my friend Christy, big hugs to you, sweetheart. Um, so when I know now I just want to cuddle in a corner with my friend Christy. And I've got my friend Ha. I mean, my goodness, it doesn't get any better than this. Seriously though, when there were times when I made conscious decisions that I was going to change my thinking, and I had to because I was responding so negatively to the world. Put it simply, I was scared to death, white knuckle terror of people, places, and things. So what I was taught was that take one thing at a time and practice it. And one of the things was when I was approached by a stranger, I would not immediately walk away. Instead, I would stand still. Now that was all well and good, but what the heck goes through the brain as I'm standing still? High anxiety because the brain is still doing this saying, oh crap, 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 got the stranger there. So what I did and what I would do instead, because I was conscious of it, was to focus on the stranger's clothing, focus on the stranger's eyes, make them a real person that has something of value to offer to me, and to combat the feeling, to make it a more positive experience. I shared yesterday my intense social anxiety that kept me from doing many, many things. And one of those was, do not put me into if you drop me into a room of hundreds of people, do not expect me to be all smiles and happiness. Okay? But I also don't panic anymore, and I combated that with, again, the conscious effort to replace that fear with curiosity.
That exactly my point. I want to say that subconsciousness began with the conscious, because you have to be purposefully thinking about that, and you have to deep root that conscious, the way you think, and how you see things, the way your perspective about things, and you have to deep rooting it. And then again, like I said, subconsciousness is the breeding ground of nurture who you are. Because sometimes people keep on saying that, oh, I don't know where the decision coming from, must be from drop down from the blue sky. No, that is something stored it back into your subconsciousness, and at the time that it needed, it just arise, it just raised up to the level that for you to exercise that. It is not dropped from the blue sky. That is something that is it first it became a
You mean
conscious.
I'm just not struck absolutely wonderful at any given moment? Ha, you are destroying my delusions here. I couldn't resist. How's that for breaking steak? Do you see where my mind went? Was like, I get what she's saying, because you know what? I want to be struck better. I don't want to have to do the work to form the habit. Sorry.
Yeah, because I think that the deep root cultivating and that the mindset. I mean, everything it have to do with that. If it's a mindset, that's something you can cultivate. That my thinking.
Christy, welcome,
Hi.
dear. Come on in.
Hey. Uh, I really debated even doing this because I'm like, I'm so not public viewing ready. So,
Well, you are being recorded, just so you know.
thanks. But it's been intriguing because out of that whole passage that you read, for me, I like to think I like to keep it simple when I think, because I do so much and I have so much going on at once. I don't take a whole lot of time to overanalyze myself or self-assess like I should. But I do it, and I do it in simple terms, like using the file cabinet analogy for the subconscious. that I have control over the file cabinet. It's there. There's a lot of stuff in there. I continue to put stuff in on a moment by moment basis, whether I realize it or not. If I will take the time to go back to the file cabinet to find what I need, or to be able to come, do a little research on myself in my own file cabinet, then everything makes a lot more sense. I can refile, I can purge the files when necessary. And that's a big deal as well, because I'm currently in a state of purging some of those files that I've had in there for a while to be able to make some changes in my life. And to be able to make a big change, you have to go back and assess some things that I originally thought was true, and it's not. That's not the best reality for me. The other thing that I've done is I have a tool that it's called a life wheel. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with that. It's where it segments all of, categories of your life. Then you can rate it. But what I do is I kind of keep going with it. I don't use just the wheel. I keep going out until the nth degree is, what characteristics do I want to have? What kind of person do I want to be to get the life that I want? If I feel friction in a day, I'm not being what I want to be to get the life I want. So what happened? Where's the problem? Why am I having friction? Why is there a disconnect? And then go back to the file cabinet to find the answer.
So again, it's the purposeful, conscious effort to make a change. And then
being very intentional.
And then to make it a habit, which is what Napoleon Hill is telling me, which is what I need to do, because I need to associate that once was negative with something positive so that it'll stick. But even when I do that, it takes practice.
A lot.
Yes.
Because just because we do it once doesn't mean it's gonna. What is the Zig Ziglar had always said? Motivation is like a bath, right?
Yeah, you can't do it.
You need it more than once. You can't do it just once.
Yeah.
Also, somebody said the road to success is simply very easy. The way it is easy is not because you don't put in any effort, but because you put in the effort and it becomes your habit. When you are in the flow, you are in the zone, and then everything you do it just like the way you do it, the way you do things. Someone said, how you do anything is how you do everything. If you are, reach to that level and you go into the zone, you to the flow, you are in it, you are on it, then that is just the thing that you do. See, but if we just thinking that this coming up the next morning, we said, okay, we want to have some level of success, and we struggle to get through it. But if we build the basic that the road to success is built with a lot of good habits, positive habits, and then you continue to do that. And I understand what Christy talking about, that the re-engineering of what you want. You know exactly what you want, and you work looking backward, and you see, okay, what do you need to do, and then you do it. If something coming up, the shining object just show up, and you want to run after it, you say, oh no, that derail me. So you have to get back on track.
But I like shiny objects. I was a jewelry lady.
Yeah, don't put sparkle near her. The Wonder Woman breaks out. So we got to make it a habit, and we can do it on purpose with intention. And Jeremy's excellent comment there. The tough part about all this is we have to reset our subconscious mind daily or more frequently. Oh, yeah. If the negative polarity takes over, the road to success is filled with a lot of discomfort. Sorry, Matt, that's you. The road to success is filled with a lot of discomfort. We often associate discomfort as physical pain, but it's a lot less than real pain. Yeah, it is a discomfort. It's a jarring. It's taking me out of that which I know, right? I mean, I recall very, very clearly the comfort of that fear, because I knew what to do with it. I knew how to react. I knew how to respond, and everything was proven to me that even if it was bad, my response over the years was proven that I knew what to expect. So when I'm presented with an opportunity to change it, I'm excited about the change. I'm excited about what I see in somebody else. And then I got to put it in myself. We're talking major discomfort here because I'm not quite sure what that actually feels like when I'm on the other side. And so it does, for me, there's an old saying that when all right, let me get it right. When the pain to remain the same outweighs the pain to change, I'll finally do something about it. Honestly. So it got too painful and too limiting and too scary to stay where I was in those multitudes of fears and blocks that I had when it came to connecting with people, when it came to, well, people, places, and things. I'll just put it that way. And I wanted more. So that might also be it. That desire was there, so I was willing to do different, and I did. So I'm getting there. And Christy's still working on me, but I'm getting there.
So, Charlene, the idea of you want more, then be more.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, if level of success you are in right now, and if you are a version of Charlene 1.0, and you want to get upgrading it to 2.0, then you will achieve the success that you set out to do. Because it doesn't matter of Jim Rohn, the one said that success is not something you are chased after, that's something you attract to because the person you become.
And that's what's happening. The changes that have appeared in me are you guys just need to be talking to my husband and my family. I mean, they still tell me they can't believe I do what I do today because they know me all these years. But honestly, so the changes that I've purposely put into effect, focused on, have been positive, and I'm really thrilled with where I am now. And I do want more, I do want more, which is why I'm reading this book. I want to learn how to go to that next step. I want to know what it is that I need to focus on to get to the next step. Now, we all know that one of those is that clearly stated in this book and restated and restated and restated is write out that desire. What is it I am going for? I want to be rich. I want money. I want a particular amount of money. I've got it written down. It's on my wall. I read it morning and night. This is when I will have it. This is what I will give in exchange for it. This is my belief, and it's so strong that I know it's going to happen. And the plan has been put into effect. And like you said earlier, that I made those decisions. So when I'm presented with an opportunity of something shiny, I can say no.
Right.
Because it doesn't fit, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we all want more. And just like picture this, if you climb the mountain, you better go all the way up because the view is so magnificent. But you cannot stop by somewhere, because if you stop at somewhere at the middle of the slope, the peak is so far away, and you look down, you're so scared. I mean, so, and then that's why I think that whatever you want to do, thinking carefully and do it, follow through, because that's the only way that we need to do it. We cannot just do some way halfway. A lot of people, they can start it, but not too many people finish it. For me, if you start it, fight with me, I will the one who finish it. Simple as that.
And that's why I think I need the other people around me, is to keep me going so that I can finish it. Because I will stop. Because sometimes, like Matt said, sometimes it is the pain will stop me. It's just too much, right? I don't know.
So what's the difference between taking a break and stopping?
Oh, you at the time that you might rest when you must, but you always need to continue. I mean, when you stop and just to level it and just to have something breathing, to exhale, you can do so, but never give yourself a permission to stop, because wherever that you are, when you stop, that means you finish. But again, it's just a temporary a stopping. That's a station that for you to stopping by. Then rest if you must, and you must continue. The quitting will stop you from your destination.
And then so coming back to the passage stuff, one of the things that we do whenever we coach, I'm sure you guys have experienced this, is reframing. So taking a situation and going, okay, how can I look at this differently?
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of that way we're not making assumptions or using all of our experience in the file cabinet. It's forcing us to think about it from somebody else's point of view. So if there was a third observer there, or from the other side of the table, or whatever may be going on, what's another way to look at it that has a positive feeling to it? So I know I just totally changed trains on everybody, but coming back to that.
But not really, because that might be helpful in determining how can we view the positive emotion to replace the negative.
Yeah, sometimes looking at it from an outside observer, pretend you are somebody just watching what's happening. What's another way to look at the whole situation?
Well, you know what I do? It is literally, who do I know really well? Like, what would Christy do? What would Christy tell me to do? What would Christy say in this? Or what would Ha say? I take somebody who I know well enough that I'm not going to control the conversation, right? That I can imagine who they are and how they approach things. So I'll put a name to them, But I don't know that you're derailing us, because, again, we're being told here that we have control over what we think. Mm-hmm. And we can change the way that we think regularly by making it a habit to replace with a different emotion. And he lists all the emotions there, but honestly, can you just sit and say, well, I am really afraid right now, but I'd rather feel love? I don't know. Maybe in some cases you can, but what about those cases where I can't? So what's a technique that I can use to remove the fear, to be conscious about it, to walk through it? And one would be, well, who is it that loves me? Bring out those positive experiences and memories that he talked about earlier in the book. When was the last time that I had a cup of coffee or lunch with Christy? When was the last time Ha and I had a private conversation? When was the last time? And all that positive that came from those experiences, that can now attach to the thought, because now it's the feeling that's attached to the thought. And that can help replace the fear, which I happen to pull out.
Because not everybody has a dashboard in front of them where you just flip a switch and all of a sudden this emotion happens, and then this. Not everybody's
you're
built
just
like that.
Dashing all my hopes, I tell you. I do. I'm the one. I want the dashboard. I want to be able to flip a switch. I want to be struck happy.
Sometimes it's a dial.
Yeah. I want to, I don't want to have to work as hard. Even though I'm gaining great rewards from it, I still have to combat that thought. And that's actually what I'm trying to do now, is to combat the thought that, when can I just rest? Because you said that, Christy. And rest is necessary. But I'm talking about where I don't feel like I'm working that hard at it. Because when we're in the middle, obviously I'm in the middle of something here, right? So I'm feeling that intensity. I feel like I'm really working at it. It's not a habit yet. Other things are, but this one isn't.
The way I look at it, people are entitled to their opinion, and then somebody that give me the advice or voice their opinion, I will take that under advice. But I think that I must know myself first, because see, sometimes that people will, they're using what they know, their own merit, and they were advising you, and you know yourself better. And I don't, unless somebody I respect, and somebody that like the couple week ago we're talking about the peak performance partners, that not just somebody that you know and they know you, and then you help each other and to reach to the point that you needed to. um, for instance, you at beginning you will see that I congratulate Charlene and her husband for 25 years of marriage. For me, I'm married 40 years today as well. But sometimes that my husband didn't know what I know, and sometimes that out of the love, and then if I just go out in branches, he just pull me down, and he said, hey, don't go too far, you will fall down and it will be hurting, stuff like that. Not because they are mean to, but they just like they have your best interest at heart, and they sometimes they're not knowing what you're doing. I have a confidence that I know that I see something out there, and I know that I can leveraging myself, my body, my skill, my talent. I can go out there get it. But for him not knowing fully what I'm doing or what my talent's about, and he would just say, come down, you got too far, you will fall down. So always
Mhm.
know yourself and have a confidence and trust that you know yourself best.
So that's another way to look at his response to you. Because it could be taken as he's my resistance, he's my negative that I have to combat. He's the problem. But instead, just saying, he's expressing his love for me in his concern.
That's
That's
it.
all he's doing, and that's recognizing it so that it doesn't become an anchor, right?
That's why we can marry for 40 years. I mean, if you just say, oh, he just set a weight, he just like the luggage that I need to drop because I want to move further, or I want to get into the door, and he just like my baggage.
Right.
No, see, and I know that he have good intention. He just so cannot protect me because he didn't know what I go out there and doing what. But anyway, that is I
Yeah.
have to say about this 40 years, Christy.
More power to you. That is awesome.
But and the secret is sometimes I really want to grab him by the shoulder and just bang and hang him on the wall. But the time it's pretty okay.
Yeah, I do that too, and then I'm reminded my husband's name is not Art. So I don't I did, and I do. I think you're not Art. All right. I love you, honey. We're
Yeah,
getting
so
derailed here. Sorry, group.
Yeah.
because the love and the care for you, and because they don't know what you're doing, and because you are out there, they cannot protect you, and so they tend to pull you back, not just
Right.
because out of just don't want to let you go, but because they so concerned that they don't know how to protect you when you are out there because you are.
Now,
So if you're hearing this all the time, what I'm wondering is, how can we continue hearing that all the time? Because then it becomes the battle, doesn't it? We're battling against reframing all the time that says he's only doing this because he loves me, he's only doing this because he cares, he's only doing this. And I've gone through that, but it passes because he gets on board. He gets some bit of understanding of the why I'm doing what I'm doing. So it's no longer, a battle in my own head. But my goodness, to have that on a regular basis would be extremely difficult, I would think, to form the habit that Napoleon Hill's trying to explain to us to form, which is to replace that negative feeling of being anchored with something else.
Communication is the key, and
Okay.
and sometimes that we need to hear his point of view, and then we also need to express where we're coming from. And I think communication is the key. And for any marriage, not because today we give advice on the marriage. I think that I'm married for 40 years. I can say something about that. um, you just have to respect and to believe that I don't know that
Yeah,
after
it's difficult to articulate it.
the love of the marriage is that they said when love is what left over of the lust and the physical attraction
Right.
and the desire, because I don't know about you, Charlene, after 25 years, but after 40 years, love is what left over for me, and it is very solid because we strip all the lust and the romance and the physical attractions. That's it.
Well, I'm going to get into TMI here, so it's not going to happen. So we'll just say that I'm still happy I said yes. And 25 years later, I can say I'm still happy I said yes.
Now, I don't have that.
Mm-hmm.
So the things that you all have, I don't have.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to do things a lot differently because I have other voices that come at me a lot. I do have a business partner, which is kind of like a marriage some days. So, but he goes home to his wife. I don't have to. No, that's not a 24/7 kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
So, one of the tools that I use to be able to try to, yes, I talk to myself a lot because I'm alone a lot,
Mm-hmm.
but I pretend I'm talking to my virtual board of directors. So my virtual board of directors includes people like John Wayne, Jethro Gibbs, Scarlett O'Hara, Wonder Woman,
Ooh, I like that.
Jesus, right? So the characters that have been, well, not that Jesus was a character, but that's a whole different subject. But these people and their personas that's been created, there's certain personalities with that, certain ways that they think. It falls under Charlene, like what you do. What would Christy say? What would Ha do? And I do the same thing for those people because I want to have those kind of attributes in that. So if there was something that they would have to say to me, like there are times I literally picture Jethro Gibbs head slapping me because I've done something ridiculous.
Right.
And I needed it. And then I could just move right along. So I may not have, because the marriage thing is twofold. You guys have the communication aspect of it, but there's also this support aspect
Yes.
of it. I mean, you guys, it's 25 years and 40 years. You got each other's backs. I don't have that, so I'm
Right.
the scout out from the lone warrior here. I have to kind of create my own support system to some degree, but it still goes back to how am I going to think about, putting this support system together? Who is my counsel when I need to have places to go to? Charlene, you are on my council of people. And so that's, I just have to do things a little different than you guys do.
But I think it still applies the same way in terms of when we are trying to replace a negative with a positive so that we can make it a habit. So our reactions and our responses to things are a habit and come second nature because they're coming from our subconscious, which is what we're talking about here. The same things apply because I have that committee in my head. Those who have been with me from the beginning of reading this book understand and remember when I fired the old committee around the conference table and replaced them by name? I still have the letter. I literally fired everybody. And these are people that I could name from years ago, and named them, and I fired them. And when the seat opened, I replaced them. And here are the names of who I replaced you with. And so that took a while to get the visual. And when I did, now that is exactly what Christy was describing, that council, that imaginary board of advisors. Now what's most of the time what gets thrown at me isn't the old stuff of you can't, you're not good enough, you're going to fail, you're going to disappoint. Women don't do that. You're too smart. You're not smart enough. And then followed immediately by you're a woman, you can't be that smart, because I heard that a lot. All those things that would pop up no longer do. Every once in a while, one will present itself. But since I went through that exercise, I have to tell you, it gets kicked out quickly. It's that committee suddenly comes in and says, well, I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, you should hear my head. I don't know what you're talking about. She's doing great. Just go
Shirley,
away. She's already proven you wrong. Move on. I mean, you can hear them up there. It's funnier than heck. Anyway.
Christy and I we get along very well because I like Wonder Woman because see when I have the situation, I will stand very tall. I have put my two hands on my hips, yes, and I have my legs apart, and I just I will handle that. That's my powerful posing.
Success, Sean. You're the one that showed me that power pose that I have now put into effect, by the way. Yes, Sean, that was you that reinforced it.
Yeah.
It is helpful. So good morning, Sean. Welcome. Good morning, Chuck. Good to see you here. I want to give a quick shout out to Ahmed. Thank you for coming. Mohand, good to have you here. Robert, thank you for tweeting it out. Good to see you here. Anybody who wants to share that this is happening, tell a little bird, please. Cindy, good to see you, my friend from Kentucky. Glad you're here. And lemongrass. Oh, Chris, sorry. It's Lemongrass Spa by Chris. So we're going to say this is Chris. Welcome. So we're discussing the first half of chapter 12 of Think and Grow Rich, titled The Subconscious Mind, where Napoleon Hill actually outlines the how to change our responses and our thinking and our feelings so that we can form habits that make us better, which in turn make it possible to reach our monetary goals. And it's, it sounds so simple. It just does.
And Charlene, I'm going to jump off here to allow for other people to join in, and I've got to go get ready for another meeting as well.
Excellent. So glad you joined us this morning.
Good morning, everybody.
Nice to see you. Bye-bye.
So the seats are open. Somebody wants to join Ha and me in the discussion. We'll go back to the reading. What over and over and over again, he tells us that we can do this, that it takes action, that we have to recognize the subconscious is so susceptible.
Sean says subconsciousness is so powerful if you use it correctly. If we take time to cultivate it, why not do it right? First, it have to enter our mind as something that the consciousness, and then we will just filter it through and then send it to the subconsciousness, because that we are get rich our intellectual, spiritually, as well as financially will benefit from that.
Yes, and I'm going to say to Craig, yes, every weekday morning at 8:00. Morning Mindset Cafe. Go to my profile and you can subscribe to any of them. I put out the following week, either on Friday or Saturday of each week. So I only go 1 week out. So this is what came to mind as you were talking, huh? Yeah. And as all of this that we've been talking, I am not an athlete. And yet what came to mind was what I do when I shoot pool. When I visualize ahead of time what I want to happen, it happens. I don't know how many times I've read and I've heard athletes say that they visualize dunking the ball in basketball, hitting the free throw every time in basketball, hitting the home run with baseball, swimming the extra yards. Doing just a little bit more, there was a time when I snow skied, so skiing through the moguls and the big hill, but the visualization that I always hear about athletes. Now, what I do when I shoot pool, and I'm able to do it, and I think to do it, right? Actually, what happens is my team captain comes up and says, I really need you to win. And that's when I've already told people I can't sustain it for long because I get very, very aggressive and very, very focused. And what I mean by that is literally I block out everybody else. I can't hear anything. I'm not distracted by anybody. And I'm already visualizing the shots I'm going to make. And when I'm that focused, that's when I win. That's when I make the shots. That's when, honestly, it's when I get the trophy. And that's when, I'm such a sucker for trophies and awards. I got to tell you, I am.
Oh, congratulations about the award winner at the local.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you.
congratulations. That is the achievement, yeah, congratulations.
But again, it's that, yes, Dave, it's the zoning out. Welcome, Dave. You snuck in here on me. And Christina, glad to have you with us. I mean, I know it's possible. I think one of the reasons I don't stay there that long, though, is it's intense. It takes that effort. And, David, it isn't happening yet. That's so easy to say. Dave is saying once you get confident, it takes less effort. In some cases, yes. In some cases, I will say yes. For some reason in the competitive world, when I am matched up 1-to-1 and I'm ready, oh, okay, so you get it, Dave. Yeah, you see, that's what my coach tells me. Big Jim, he taught me how to shoot when I was like 20, so I don't know. It was like 30, 40 years ago. Almost 30 years ago, he taught me how to shoot. And one of the things, at that time I had the intensity, but I didn't have the skill. And the intensity was throughout everything, though. I mean, that's because I was on high alert to keep out everything else. I mean, it was exhausting. So I'm learning, Dave. I'm learning. But see, I'm gonna inject one thing here that I think it just dawned on me. One of the reasons that I don't want to stay in that mode is because it does block everything else out. And I really do want to have fun, and I really do want to make friends while I'm there. And so I can't when I'm in that truly intense zone. So I'm learning how to go in and out of it.
I'm laughing because I'm shooting pool too, but when I'm a lousy pool player. But if I have a gin and tonic in my hand, boy, I don't know where it's coming from. I just cannot lose.
Yeah. It's that balance. It's that balance.
That's crazy, but anyways, hey, 9 o'clock. I have to go. I miss you, and thank you very much for this platform. And so
you're awesome, huh? Thank you.
Oh, thank you. I'm thinking of you very often, and and all the people in your community, because I love them, because they are my first love. That the first visit that I have with your blab, and I never leave. I come and I stay. So I have to go. So I will talk to you later. Again,
okay,
happy anniversary, and celebrate the big grades
yes.
you don't have, because that's what I'm going to do.
Okay. Love you. Okay. All right. So now I will address the gin and tonic thing. And I did mean balance, except that I don't drink. That's not an option. It's just struggles. I think it's the struggles, like with anything else, is that what Napoleon Hill is trying to tell us. I will be taken over by fear, and it's in the form of intimidation when I'm matched up against somebody I highly respect, especially if it's somebody I've been watching for a while, trying to learn from. And so I'm talking shooting pool now, right? And it's the same thing with my business, quite honestly. And it's the same thing with anything else, which is that I want to change that response. And it takes work. It takes work to replace that negative with a positive, so that it comes into the subconscious, so that it stays there and becomes a habit. So I'm still working on that, when it comes to shooting pool. I've got it a lot under control when it comes to talking with people and doing things and jumping out. And I just got to tell you, you guys wouldn't recognize me from, almost 8 years ago when I started my business. I was opinionated. I've always been opinionated. I just never said it out loud. And talking like this was not going to happen. And having conversations with strangers was not a part of the way I worked. And, you know, there's just a whole lot of things. So for those who are in the audience struggling, or in the replay, struggling with, can I do this differently? I'm here to tell you, you can. So I'll point out some things I've been able to do that I'm continually reminded by friends and family that I've done. And I'm glad they remind me, because you just heard me say how discouraged I can get sometimes. So the first one is that when I started my business, my preference for any work to be done, for any kind of job, for any kind of project, was that I'd be hidden in a corner and not have to deal with people, because I didn't know how to speak to people. I didn't know how to respond to them. I didn't know how to be an active member of a community. I just didn't have those skills. But I started a business and suddenly realized, oh crap, I got to sell stuff. How in the world am I going to do this? Well, I'm going to have to speak, right? No, it's more than that. No, Dave, it's more than that, because there are a lot of other coping skills and other things that come into play. So I took this and I realized I was going to have to do something different. So what I did was I joined Toastmasters and I learned how to speak. And they taught me how to speak in a social setting, and they taught me how to speak in front of people. And I started there. You all met my friend Christy. Christy helped me learn through her actions, watching her and her business partner into 2010, started teaching me how to actually network amongst professionals. What do you say? How do you talk? I didn't know any of this. And a lot of these just are true skills. So today, less than 8 years later, I am hosting a morning mindset cafe program. I'm being recorded. I speak from the stage, from anywhere from 20 people to, I think the biggest crowd I had was close to 800 at one time. I speak at conferences, business conferences. I conduct workshops in person. I teach classes. I have been a guest lecturer at the University of Louisville and at Bellarmine University. I'm being brought in as a guest speaker. I get out here and I get in front and I just do it. Now, having said that, I can tell you that it takes work and that prep work for me to be able to, but I have the skills now to do it. And one of those is the power pose. That's just before I get up and do something. But honest to goodness, Napoleon Hill is talking about those positive tools, how to replace that negative with the positive. And that all comes into play in the prep work. But there's also physical techniques that I go through to control the anxiety and some other things. So yes, Christy, a confidence, the end result of a lot of hard work on self, continuous practice of the positive tools. Absolutely. And so that's just one example of being able to replace a positive, right? To put a positive in. And yes, you know, Mondi, that's an excellent point. Without the help of the community, it would be difficult. So it's not just me. But again, I made the conscious decision to make that change. And that's what Napoleon Hill is telling us. So the other things I've been working on, I mean, that's just one aspect of me that I've changed. But other things I've been working on are directly related to building my business and growing it, because I want to be rich. And I have a specific number in mind. It's what I think rich is, not what you think. It's what I think. I have that number in mind, and I'm practicing the techniques and the tactics Napoleon Hill is telling us to do. To the best of who I am at any given time, I'm doing this, right? And there's quite a few things that he's talked about in this book. And he covers a lot of them right up front as we go through the positive, negative emotions. The whole point that I get out of the reading, out of the live conversation that I had with Ha and Christy, thank you so much for joining me here, is that it's action. Starts with the thought, right? Starts with me defining what my desire is. The decision, see, Chuck, you beat me to it. Yes, Chuck. Desire, decision, action, and persistence. Starts with the thought, the desire. This is what I want. This is what I will have. Then that's the decision, because it started with the want, and then it became, I will have this. I will take action towards it. The plan is in place, and I'm physically, mentally, emotionally engaged in going after what I have said that I've desired, and I made the decision to go after. And now I'm in the persistence mode. It's going to happen. It is going to happen. And that's what it takes is action. So I'm going to shut down the recording, and then I can keep the room open if you guys want. So I want to thank those in the live stream so much for participating in the conversation and the discussion here. I want to thank everybody who's joined us in the comment area. Your comments are important and have added to our display. Thank you for watching the replay. This is Charlene Burke with Grow Because You Know. That's www.growbecauseyouKnow.com. Let's move forward with the day on purpose, with purpose, to grow our hearts, grow our minds, grow our businesses. Until next